Hello, everyone. Welcome to House of D Live. I am, of course, your host, D Square. Well, it's been a long time since I've done a live broadcast. Back in the day, I used to call it D Square Talks or Nerd Rages, but now it's House of D Live. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope to see some good comments up on the monitor there, so if you see me doing that right there, looking there, I'm just looking to see who's got a good comment. So yeah, come interact with me. You say something worth talking about, and yeah, we'll talk about it. So, little intro there. Had a cool dialogue from the Mandalorian show, which debuted on the Disney Plus app. I gotta tell you, originally I was not excited about this show. In fact, I've been kind of buying into this too much Star Wars. They're gonna pull back on the Star Wars, and I was definitely kind of feeling like, yeah, maybe they do. Solo burned me bad, but nonetheless, we got the Disney Plus app because I do have small children. In fact, I have two little girls that absolutely love everything about Disney. They love all the Disney princesses. And so, I love the X-Men, and the X-Men animated series also is on the Disney Plus app. So we got it. And I figured, hey, let me give this show a try. And boy, am I glad that I did. By the way, guys, there's going to be spoilers. Spoilers, I mean, I'm not going to tell you everything, but, just so you know, anything I talk about today, Mandalorian, Dawn of X, we might even get into a little bit of the X-Men, the second X-Men, X-Men number 2 that came out. We may talk about that, but just, I'm not going to be keeping this spoiler free. So if you haven't seen the show, you haven't read the Dawn of X books, or, maybe you haven't, but you just don't care. Either way, if you care about knowing these details, I'm going to move my mic. There we go. So if you care about these spoiling details, guys, I would return back to this video. So let me go ahead and give you my reaction to The Mandalorian. Like I said, I'm really glad that I decided to watch the show. My wife watches it right along with me, and she is enjoying it just as much as I am, probably for different reasons. She thinks the little baby Yoda thing is cute as hell, and I do too. But I'll tell you what I really appreciate about this show is it is expanding the Star Wars lore in a couple different ways. We aren't being spoon-fed what a Mandalorian is, right? We're not, they didn't take 10, 15 minutes of the first episode to explain what the Mandalorian culture and religion is all about. We're getting to learn it piece by piece. So that's awesome. Because I know all about the Mandalorians because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. So I already know all about the Mandalorians. But my wife, on the other hand, she doesn't really know. She just knows the guy kind of looks like Boba Fett. But as far as knowing what the Mandalorians are all about, this is a new experience for her. So I'm really glad, though, that again, we're not getting this spoon-fed synopsis of the Mandalorian religion and culture. We are learning it as this character progresses, through the story that this show is telling so far. But not only does it expand on the Mandalorian aspect of things, but we're actually getting to learn more about the Star Wars universe, which is, that's a pretty impressive feat, seeing as though Star Wars has been around now for over 3 decades. You'd think there wouldn't be much to learn, but there definitely is, especially since this takes place 5 years after the Return of the Jedi. So, hopefully it's looking like we're going to kind of fill the gap in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. couple of things that we kind of see expanded upon is the IG assassin droid. Very popular character, IG-88. And although IG-88 is not in the show, there is another IG unit, IG-11, and him and the Mandalorian kind of team up for a little bit during the first episode. And it's just kind of cool to see how that droid fights. You know, its legs and arms kind of spin all around, so it's got a 360 view of the battlefield and can, you know, target enemies no matter where they're at. In relation to where the droid is standing. So it's really cool to finally see that, because as popular as a character as IG-88 is, I've never really seen him in action like that. So to see an IG droid do his thing in here was really, really cool. We also get to see the toilet. I mean, yeah, who really cares, I guess, but to be fair, we've never seen a toilet in the Star Wars universe, so it's cool to see that. It's cool to actually see a toilet on a starship. You know, a small little detail there, but again, it is a nugget of this universe that we haven't seen before that we now get to see. And there's all sorts of other cool stuff that we learn in this show. But as I alluded to, the Baby Yoda, so we find out that at the end of episode 1, that the bounty that he is sent on is to bring this Baby Yoda alive. Very, very interesting here, because as, you know, I'm calling it Baby Yoda, right? But it's obviously not Baby Yoda. But I don't know what else to call it, because the race, you know, that Yoda is, George Lucas has gone to great lengths to never name the species, doesn't even let us know what the homeworld is. We've only seen a few of these creatures. I mean, and I'm talking about from the Old Republic video games, there's one. And then we know Yaddle from episode 1, and of course Yoda. But other than that, that's it. So to see another one of these things is an interesting and intriguing aspect of this show. Definitely caught me by surprise when I saw that they would be introducing a baby version of Yoda. Now, when I say baby, though, as you learn in the show, this thing is 50 years old. But what do we know about these creatures? They live a very, very long time. So they obviously age at a very different pace than most other species, particularly humans. But beyond that, it's just cool to see the different races. I mean, obviously the Jawas make, they make an appearance. We get to see some Trandoshans. They attack the Mandalorian at some point. So, all very cool. I definitely recommend that. If you're a Star Wars fan, absolutely make sure that you're checking this show out. And it's not a carbon copy of the Star Wars movies, okay? It's got a good budget, so, the quality is the highest quality I've seen in a show. It is just a step below what we see in the Star Wars movie. So this has a really good budget, which is nice, because Disney hasn't exactly given all of its projects good budgets, particularly if they're on another streaming service. But we can see that now they're going all in. But what's the major differences here? This definitely feels like a Star Wars. It just doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie, and that's okay. We don't get the opening text crawl that we get in all the other movies and sometimes in the video game. So that's nice. That's a great way to differentiate the big movies from the rest of the Star Wars, shows and things like that. The music, it's not the big John Williams orchestra score. It is more like Western, cowboy Western type music, which is a perfect fit because make no mistake, this is very much like a Star Wars Wild West adventure. It also doesn't name the planets. We get to see a couple different planets in the first episode, and they are not named. So, which is cool because that way you're just experiencing it with what you see and what you hear, and you don't have to worry about, like, have we visited this planet before? Is this breaking some sort of past canon? Nothing like that. Here we are, here's what's going on, and boy, is it entertaining. Um, I was surprised to see, I think his name is Carl Weathers, who played Apollo Creed, as well as he was in Predator, and he was also in Happy Gilmore. Now, all three of those movies he dies. So, I don't know if that spells danger for this particular character, but nonetheless, it is nice to see. They must have done some sort of de-aging, and it looks really nice. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they just blonde his hair and he just looks good. But really cool to see him be. He's like one of the guild masters that sends the Mandalorian on one of the bounties. So, and there's a couple, other notable actors that I see in the episode, and it's just really cool to see people like that get involved. Episode 2 is really, really cool uh, because here's the cool thing. I mean, I keep saying that, there's a bunch of cool things about this show. But one really great aspect is, yes, we're dealing with the Mandalorian and their warrior culture. And in the first episode, in the opening of the show, I mean, we definitely see that Dine, which is the name of the Mandalorian in this show, is a very, very capable fighter. But in episode 2, we get to see him deal with some stuff that he doesn't exactly deal with very gracefully. Reminds me a lot of maybe what you would experience if you play the Star Wars pen and paper RPG. He goes after this bounty, but he leaves his ship unattended, so when he comes back, the freaking Jawas are scrapping the thing, and that he has to go on a whole nother adventure due to that. And the whole time, he's got this little Yoda thing that, has to follow him around everywhere. And we get to see where this Yoda character is taking an interest in the Mandalorian, even helping him out from time to time, at least when he lets it help him out. So, very, very cool. Just make sure that you are giving this series a try. Get the Disney Plus app. And I'm not trying to be a commercial for it, although if you want to be a sponsor, Disney, I'm your guy. I can sell it. Anyway, definitely make sure you get the app. It's a great value. I mean, they got the X-Men animated series, which I'm enjoying, but let me tell you, it does not hold up as well as I thought it would. Yeah, Wolverine gets hurt a lot in the first couple of episodes. It's almost like he doesn't have a healing factor. Nonetheless, I may even make a whole video on that at some point because Professor X is using his powers on Magneto while Magneto still has his helmet on. So again, doesn't hold up and is not as accurate as I remember it being, but certainly still enjoyable. So I would highly recommend you get the Disney Plus app and check out the Mandalorian show for sure. And there's a bunch of other cool stuff on there, so you won't be disappointed. Don't see any comments or anything, guys. So I mean, let me shout out there. What do you think? Do you share my thoughts about the Mandalorian? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know, guys, what's going on. And hey, if you come across this video, once it's no longer live, that's okay. Shoot me some comments down there. Let me know what you think of the Mandalorian. Are you having as great as experience with that show and the Disney Plus app? Just like I am and my family is. Really, really cool stuff. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts there. Come on, guys, show me some love. Get in this chat. Get in this chat, guys. Beyond that, another thing that's really exciting. If you've been on my channel before, on my Twitter, you know that I am a tried and true X-Men fan. I've been doing a lot of X-Men reviews, spoiler talk, talking about the Hoxpox, with my brother on the Volsker and D Square talk show that we do from time to time whenever we're able to get together. So, you should definitely know that I'm a big X-Men fan. And so I want to talk to you, or really kind of break down my thoughts on the Dawn of X titles, the number ones that have come out. All of them have been released. I want to rank them real quick for you, and then just kind of give you a little synopsis on like what each series is kind of bringing to the X-Men universe. So there has been 6 Dawn of X titles so far. All the number ones have been released, and so on the bottom of my ranking, so number 6, and this is a variant cover, just FYI, but so New Mutants. New Mutants is going to be number 6 on my list of Dawn of X titles. The reason why it is there is because I'm just not gripped by it. It's not made for me. It's really made for a much younger audience, maybe a more light-hearted audience who wants to see comedy and a lot of light-hearted stuff. Basically, this team of New Mutants, which encompasses most of the New Mutants, from past volumes, and some additions like Mondo is on here. They basically go on this space road trip because, Cannonball, he married, someone in the Shi'ar Empire, and that's where he's at. And so the rest of, this team of New Mutants, Danny Moonstar, Sunspot, Liliana Rasputin, Chamber. I mean, they all want to go see him. They want to go see him and possibly bring him back. So they hitch a ride with the Starjammers, and I'll tell you why they're around a little bit later as we talk about X-Men #1. But they basically catch a ride with them to Shi'ar space, and so this is basically a buddy road trip space comedy. I mean, it's not like full blown all comedy, but definitely a lighter tone, more stylized artwork, and I definitely think this is for a younger crowd, or at least a crowd of people that really enjoyed the team of New Mutants. Wolfsbane is back, so Rain Sinclair, she has obviously been revived, which is nice because she had a really sad ending back in the last volume of Uncanny X-Men. So it is good to see her back. I know she has a whole lot of fans. So, I mean, I didn't trash this on my reviews, but I'm definitely not going to be continuing on with this one. I just don't like what's going on. The whole, let's just go to space. And I want to see what's going on with Krakoa. I want to see what's going on with the mutants on Earth and how they're dealing with these nations that haven't recognized their sovereignty. And this particular book doesn't touch on any of that. My next one at number 5 is going to be Fallen Angels. Fallen Angels is very dark, very noir. Again, it's just not gripping me. It really wasn't written for me. I'll tell you why it was written, though, and that is to establish the new Psylocke. And the reason why I'm calling her New Psylocke is because this is Quanon, okay? Betsy Braddock is no longer Psylocke. Betsy Braddock is no longer in control of Quanon's body. Quanon has her old body again. And Psylocke has always been a popular character. I mean, she looks cool. Purple ninja, purple hair, pink, glowy, telekinetic knives and swords. So just the aesthetics alone make her a really popular character. So I understand that Marvel, particularly, in the X-Men universe, they want to keep, the Psylocke that looks like the Psylocke that we all know and love because it is a popular character, even if it is just aesthetics. So this book is teaching us all about Quanon and kind of her past and, this mission that she's going to have to go on. She recruits some of the shadier X-Men characters like Cable and X-23. They are struggling with the partying and the revelry. They want to go get in a fight. And so does Quanon. So we get to see how they come together and what they need to deal with. But, this issue is in the aftermath of an important character dying. So, Krakoa is on lockdown. So that's also something that they have to deal with and find a way around. And we'll talk more about, what major character died when we get up on the list here. The next one on my list, so this is going to be number 4, another variant cover. So that's going to be X-Men, X-Men number 1. This is all about Cyclops. This is all about the Summers, really. Cyclops, Jean Grey, Vulcan, Cable, Rachel Grey, Wolverine. They all live on the blue area in the moon in a habitat called the Summers House. Now, why Wolverine is there, I won't know, or I don't know, but here's what's really strange about this scenario here, because even though back in Uncanny X-Men number 22, which was the last Uncanny X-Men before, everything was canceled and rebooted, Jean Grey and Cyclops had met for the first time since they were both resurrected. This was an awesome scene because they lock eyes, or maybe eyes to visor. Jean Grey walks right up to Cyclops, right in front of Wolverine and Emma Frost, who have priceless looks on their faces, but she walks right up to her husband, gives him a passionate kiss and embrace, and it's like, great, they're back together, and this is awesome. But now they're not acting like a couple. In fact, there's like a diagram of the Summers house where you can see where like everybody's sleeping. They all have their own sleeping quarters. And yeah, Marvel Girl, or AKA Jean Grey, she's going by Marvel Girl again for some reason. But her room, not only is it not with Cyclops, but her room is in the middle of Cyclops' room and Wolverine's room. That's some Jerry Springer type shit right there. So I don't know what happened, and that is actually one of my complaints with the whole Hoxpox and Dawn of X, is that they have yet to bridge the gap between the last volume of X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and this now. So how do they go from embracing each other as husband and wife to they don't even sleep in the same room now? Weird stuff. What do you think? Still no comments, guys. Come on. Let's go here. Some interesting stuff here. I want to talk to you about it. Just like I used to talk to my buddies about it back when we were playing D&D and landing our Xboxes to play Halo. Anyway, enough about that. So, yeah, X-Men, number 4. Number 3 on my list, okay, Excalibur. Now, that is Betsy Braddock as Captain Britain. And that's really what the Excalibur book is all about right now. It's more magical focused. Sorry about that. It's more magical focused. We're establishing the new Captain Britain. The events of this book show us how Betsy Braddock becomes Captain Britain. We actually get to see how the events that are happening on Krakoa are actually affecting the other world, which is, Captain Britain's, other realm that he goes to. It's got, the Camelot Kingdom, King Arthur and all that. But we see that what's happening on Krakoa is somehow affecting that world. So it's intriguing. I'm not quite sure why all the, some of the characters don't make sense for a magical sorcery book like this. But, nonetheless, I am enjoying it and do definitely want to see, what's going to happen in the subsequent issues. So, let me know what you think about that as well. Number 2 on the list. So, Marauders, another variant cover, by the way. I get a lot of variant covers. Marauders. So, at first, when I learned of the Marauders book, when they showed us all the Dawn of X books, I really didn't think I would be into this. But in reading it, right off the bat, you're like, oh, what's going on with this? And so what I'm talking about is Kitty Pryde cannot enter Krakoan gates. That's why her nose is broken and she's got the black eye, because she goes to walk in and smack. So that's why she's looking like she got beat up. So her only way to get to Krakoa is by a ship. Emma Frost uses this as an opportunity to recruit her to do the work of smuggling the Krakoan pharmaceuticals into countries that do not have a deal with the mutants. They haven't recognized their sovereignty. She is also in charge of, trying to bring refugees, mutant refugees that are in countries that won't allow them to go through the Krakoan gates. We see in the first issue that Russia is a big part of this. That's like the most important country that has said, nope, we don't recognize this. They're not letting their mutants go through the Krakoan gates. So, obviously, a big problem. I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen the promotional images that they released before it even came out, where, Iceman goes through a gate that's in Russia and he gets hit, with this power dampening weaponry and has to run back through the gate. So, my complaint was like, okay, they're in Russia. Why is Colossus not a part of this? I didn't get that at all. But my complaint was quickly retracted, because then we have the number one. My number one for Dawn of X is X-Force number one. I really think they should call it X-Men. So what we learn in X-Force here is that it's not really like the team of assassins like it used to be. It's more of the CIA of Krakoa. And there's a big theme here, which is why I ranked it so high. And the theme is, like, don't be complacent, because there's always going to be people out there that hunt us, right? We get to see this cool scene where Hank McCoy is just kind of studying the flora and fauna of Krakoa. He gets attacked by this huge animal. Wolverine is there, of course, to save him, but Wolverine has a great line where he's like, you didn't see that thing because you weren't looking, and I know you feel real safe right now and real secure, but you got to understand, no matter where you're at, there's always predators, okay? And we get to kind of learn that in spades, because this issue ends with these weapon plus type soldiers, and that's just how they look like. I don't know where they're from. I mean, in the beginning of this book, we do learn that all the nations that do not acknowledge the mutant sovereignty, they're kind of like getting together, and they're going to rise up or what have you against the mutants. So I think they're the ones that sent these soldiers, but nonetheless, they hijack a plane, they parachute down to Krakoa, and they are killing mutants indiscriminately, and they actually end up getting to Charles Xavier and killing him. The last shot of that issue is you see Cerebro with blood on it, big bullet hole right in the middle. So, I mean, there's no question Professor Rex is definitely dead. But again, these are the X-Men that have the 5 mutants that help revive other mutants. So I really don't think it's a big deal. But I will be honest with you. We see that in X-Men number 2 that, Professor Xavier, he's still gone, so we're going to have to find out what goes on with that for sure. I thought he would be back, but he's not back yet. So, yeah. So that's basically all the Dawn of X number 1 titles and kind of the direction they're going in. So you've got X-Force, which is the CIA dealing with the major issues. You've got the Marauders, who are, bringing mutant refugees from other countries to Krakoa. You've got Excalibur, that's dealing with the mystic side of the X-Men universe. You have X-Men, the X-Men series, which, at least for right now, seems to heavily focus on Cyclops and the Summers family. I'm definitely going to keep reading those 4. New Mutants and Fallen Angels, though, I am going to be taking out of my pool list. Again, Fallen Angels is really all about establishing the new Psylocke. And then the New Mutants, it really just seems like a guilty pleasure of Jonathan Hickman. He is involved with that book heavily, and I know that he likes the New Mutants. So he's just kind of doing his own thing there, which, I mean, I don't have anything against. I'm just not that interested in it. So, like I said, I'll be dropping that one. Okay. Well, hey, let me know what you think, guys. I mean, if you're not here on the live stream, again, go down in the comments. What's your ranking You know, which Dawn of X books do you like? Which ones are you going to keep reading? Which ones are you going to take out of your pull list? You know, let me know what you think. Do you think I should reconsider the New Mutants and Fallen Angels? You know, do you know something that I don't? Let me know. Let me know in the comments, guys. I would absolutely love to hear from you. All right, guys. Well, before I hang it up for the night, I did just want to touch base on X-Men #2. So that's the first #2 Dawn of X issue that was released. It was actually released in the same day as Fallen Angels. Um, Obviously dealing with the aftermath of Charles Xavier being dead. But what's really kind of cool about it is, you know, Charles Xavier being dead is almost a backdrop in this particular issue. See, what they learn is that there is a second island that emerged out there. And this really goes back to in the Hoxpox issues. They showed, you know, they had like maps and stuff, and then they have them in the Dawn of X books too, but they showed a map with this second island, but they didn't say anything about it. Now we know what it is. And that even makes me think even more about the story we learned in Hoxpox, where Apocalypse was basically the savior of this large island, but in the process of saving it, he had to split it in two. So it is Krakoa and Akaro. They were split. Akaro was like sunk. This made Krakoa mad, or sad really. And now that it's popped up, Krakoa is making a beeline for this new island. So before Krakoa gets there, Scott Summers takes Cable and Rachel Gray to survey this island and scout ahead. And we definitely get an interesting scene there where we see that not only like Apocalypse is there already, which is kind of crazy. Why is he there? But we also see this this summoner character, and we find out through Apocalypse that this is actually the offspring of the original Horsemen of War. So this is really starting to make me think that Apocalypse is gonna go back to like the original Apocalypse. I think he's gonna make a heel turn here quite soon. Because you know, I didn't mention it, but in the Excalibur issue #1, we do see where these like clan of witches, like their leader is a member of the clan of Akaba. So, and that's Apocalypse's old clan. So there's definitely something brewing here under the surface with Apocalypse, and I definitely think that he's going to be returning to the villains list here pretty soon. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much all I have. Unfortunately, didn't get you know, any chat action going on. But if you come across this video, you know, after it's been posted, please let me know what you think. What suggestions you have? Are you enjoying The Mandalorian as much as I am? What are your thoughts on all the Dawn of X books that have released so far? And did you like X-Men #2? You know, you will notice on this channel, guys, that, you know, I was, you know, definitely doing a lot of X-Men reviews before, but people just don't seem to be that interested in them, so you'll probably see more shows like this in the future. Of course, I will continue to do reviews on superheroespeak.com. You know, Dave and the boys over there have been very gracious in letting me review some cool indie comic books. So definitely go to superheroespeak.com to check out those reviews and others, as well as a plethora of other awesome geek stuff. Check that out. You can also tweet at me on Twitter at dsquare72. Please, you know, follow me. I'm always kind of throwing some quips out there, some X-Men news, and you know, certainly if you have any thoughts, I'd love to interact with you. Until next time, guys, though, again, thank you so much. If you joined the live stream while it was live, but even if you join it afterwards, I do very much appreciate that. And so everybody, just peace and love, and I'll see you again real soon.